Hello everybody. Today I thought I would give you a comparison of the top-down planner. As you can see, I have two of them. Fortunately, one of them is undated, the other one is dated. I also have a version 2, which is the 2015 line, and I also have a version 3, which obviously is the new 2016. So I thought that was really great that I could show you all of the differences between them. I have to be transparent and say that I did receive the 2016 dated version for free as a replacement. When I originally did my 2015 review, I did have some issues with it. You guys know, if you followed me for a while, that I am very honest about things that I talk about. I always say the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I did have a couple of issues. I had absolutely no expectation at all that I would ever even hear from Rebecca Riscotti, or that she would even offer me a planner. That was just not even in my realm of thinking. But I did accept it when she contacted me. She has a fantastic PR team that somehow found my video. And when they contacted me and offered me one, I jumped at that simply because, number one, I really, really appreciate good customer service. And the second reason is I was curious. I wanted to see what the changes that they had made and what the differences were. So I am very, very grateful for that. And as you guys know, I love this planner. I am using it. I have several other videos on this that I will link them all below. So I have my original review on this one, and then I also showed how I covered this one to make it stronger, and then the cover has a couple issues that I'll briefly mention. And then also, I did do a complete setup and how I'm using this for the year of 2016. So all of those I will link just in case you are curious about what I have to say about that, but this is going to be the comparison video. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So as right off the bat, the actual size, the height, and the width here, and the depth, I don't know if I mentioned that one, they're all the same. So nothing has changed there. The actual meat of the planner has not changed, so no worries there. It's still the same awesome insides that it was. So just a few differences between the two. The cover, which I mentioned, still has that odd smell to it. And I don't know, I'm assuming it has to do something about the finish on the cover, or the glue that they're using, or the printer ink. So somehow it's just got kind of I wouldn't say it's horrible, but it's not that pleasant. It does fade a little bit over time. So I've had this one since about September, I believe, and it is a lot fainter, but it is still there. So obviously this one's going to be stronger because it's newer. But obviously it doesn't bother me that much because I'm using this all the time. So I did cover this one to kind of help with the durability, and as well as this also shows smudges and fingerprints a lot. So this does help. I don't really have any plans at this point to cover this one because it's doing really well, and because of the color and just the busyness of this one, it just doesn't show it as much as that one. So, that's just a few minor things that for mine specifically. And then also I wanted to bring out, when you look at the top, it's got this on the dated section, it's got this one right here, where very distinct, noticeable section on where your planning pages are. I completely love that. On the undated version, it does have that a little bit. It has one page that's got a darker top, so there are, very faint lines that you can see where your planning section is, but I definitely do prefer the dated one for that, as well as on the side. So I'll show you when I get into the pages, but this little strip right here, you can tell where your planning pages are. So it separates your goal planning pages here up at the front, and then your note pages here in the back. So that is the difference, I think, everything with the cover is concerned. So let's talk about the binding really quickly. So as you can see, the binding on this one, they have a lay flat technology binding that they're using, which I explained in one of my other videos. So this one does lay pretty flat, and let's be honest, it's never going to be a Hobonichi. Most planners out there never will. So that's not really a strike against this. It's just, it is what it is. But this one does lay pretty flat. I have worked with these pages a lot. So, but it's just not going to, flop open and flop shut like a Hobonichi does. That has real lay flat technology. This one, it's not so much because it is newer. I have not had a chance to work with the pages a little bit more, but it does eventually open up and lay flat. I will say that with my pages, because they're a weekly spread, it does stay open to the particular week that you're on. So I don't really have, major complaints about the lay flat right here. So as far as the binding though, this was my main issue when I originally did my review, because this binding fell apart before I even started using the planner. And I'm sorry, I just can't, there's nothing good that you can really say about that. But I went on to say how much I loved the inside of the planner. However, look at the 2016. I mean, it is solid. So obviously kudos to the top-down planning team. They have fixed that issue. I'm sure they have got a stronger adhesive or something, but I've been in this planner now for at least 6 weeks and no issues at all. So good job there. The first page, as you can see, is exactly the same, except for, one is navy blue and one is white. And then of course I'm using this one, so I've got sticky notes, little dashboard there. And then this page again, same thing there, except for the navy blue on that one page. And I'm not super coordinated to go around I'm trying to do these pages at the same time. And then this one, here's another flaw that I had in here that just had a couple of extra repeat pages that shouldn't have been there. So the sections are all still the same, and it's still got the nice cardstock, which is kind of a very distinctive way of turning to it. And then you've got your introduction page still, the Who Are You page, which is good. And then of course my favorite page still is this one, you guys. I just love this page. What is your future? I'm not going to show it on this one because I have started writing in there and it's private. Then I've got the goal planner pages. You still get 5 of them in there. And then you've got your one little page notes section back there. So let's turn to, so that is all exactly the same. Great format still. So the monthly and the weekly, which these are your planning pages, your calendar pages. It's still got the little introduction here, and it's still the same quote, which I thought they might have changed those, but they didn't. And then here is going to be your monthly and planning pages, weekly planning pages, just to show kind of how those are set up and how to use them. And so here's going to be your first major change, and I'm sure that this one is because this one's the undated. They don't know when you're going to start it, so they've got just 4 years of small year at a glance, which I've mentioned before. I mean, these are pretty much worthless for me. I don't really reference those, but it seems that every planner does have those. So in the dated version, you do get the really nice 1 year at a glance on one page, which I really like. And I just have these labeled because I use these as goal planning for each month. I focus on one thing, which I talked about in my other video. And then here is the snapshot page. The only difference here, again, you've got blank, the shaded sections over here where they've actually labeled these for the month. I actually still prefer for these to be unlabeled. And the reason for this is because I think that this would be a really great page. I think the way that this could be improved is, I don't always, she's got the great monthly goal planning pages and the weekly goal planning pages. And so I'm sure that this is supposed to be like a yearly goal planning page. However, they still have it divided up by month. So for me, I would like to use the undated ones on this simply because when I'm doing yearly goals, I have more like categories that I'm focusing on, just kind of like her column or her silo method that she has in her monthly and weekly pages. So for me, I would like to, what I'm trying to say is I would like to label my own different categories here and not have it by month. But other than that, it's still exactly the same, and the writing up there is the same as well. So here we get to the monthly pages. Now, in the dated version, it does come with 13 months, so I didn't receive mine until after the start of January, so that's why this one's blank. But these pages, the layout is exactly the same. I would say the only differences here is on the undated ones, since they don't know when you're going to start. They just have in every single month the list of the months, and then you just circle what you're in. So that's a nice little touch. Because of that, however, these boxes right here are just a little bit smaller on the undated version, just to make room for that. The big change I noticed on this page is that on the undated version, they've got a fact, the monthly motivator, and the quote, which I really love. That was one of the big selling points for me because I love that. On the dated version, however, for 2016, they only have a quote. I think that that's unfortunate. I'm sure that they are trying to make more space for the blank sketching space here, but I would still prefer to have all those because I'm highly motivated by those kinds of things. But it is what it is. And as far as the columns and everything else, the spacing, that is all the same. And then you've got your month at a glance. This is exactly the same as well. The boxes are the exact same space and height and all that good stuff. The weekends are still the shared weekends, which I'm sure we're all pretty unanimous in that we don't really like that, but I'm able to deal with it, especially in this planner. And then again, you've got you just circle your month up there. And then this one, of course, has the numbers on it. And then here are the weekly pages. So this is what I was talking about. This strip up here where it highlights the dates that for the week that you're on, that's what makes this top section right here very noticeable, and I really, really, really love that. So again, it's kind of the same as the month where they don't, or the month where they don't know what week you're on, so they had to leave space right here. So again, these boxes are going to be a little bit bigger over here on the dated section than they are on the undated section, but the exact same layout. The scheduling reminder and the directions up at the top have not changed. And silos and all that kind of stuff are the same as well. And then of course the shared weekend, the timeline is also still the same. So the weekly pages, really the main thing right here is, visually for me is much more pleasing on the dated version. And then you continue to go through just with the, week after week. Now in the undated version, because they don't know what month you're starting and how many weeks that particular month has, you're going to get 5 weekly pages in each one of the little sections there, whereas this one, of course, is exact. So you do end up with a few extra weeks on the undated version, which it's not necessarily good or bad. I think it's nice to be able to kind of play around with it sometimes. So that's not a bad thing at all. And then it just repeats. So it's got the 2 monthly pages, and then the weekly pages after that. And it has, both of them have a Monday start, which I really, really like. I think that's more of a European type of thing, or maybe a business type of thing where our weeks kind of start on Mondays and the weekends are kind of the end of the week. So I really like that. And then all of that's still the same. Again, I've kind of decorated mine and I'm using them, but nothing special to look at for the rest of it. It just repeats just like that. And then we go to the next section, which is the toolkit. These pages are again exactly the same. Nothing has changed there. So you got the introduction page. Here's your vision board, which is a 2-page spread. You've got your mind map. So you've got an example right here, and then you have 5 blank mind maps. And then here are how to run a meeting. And then you've got your meeting notes pages. There's 11, which I've mentioned I would love to have 12, which is 1 for each month. But as of right now, for both years, you still get 11. You've got your bucket list, which is a 2-page spread. And then you've got your gratitude log, which was a 2-page spreads. Then you go to 20 note pages that are lined, which I really like that they're smaller lines. Same thing with the 10 graph pages, smaller grid there, which is really good. And then you've got your 10 blank pages, and then you've got your little sharing in the back. So again, I've got some writing back here that I don't really want to share, but everything's exactly the same. So I really do like this planner. I've mentioned that this has become a very, very valuable part of my planning system. This is really where I begin my planning with the goals for the month, and then of course the week, and then I move on to my other planners, which that's where I get into all the details. So for me at least, I haven't been able to find one planner that does it all, and that's why I need this top-down planner in my life. I really, really am enjoying this. It's really served the purpose that I've been missing in all of my other planners. So I do really, really love that. As I've mentioned, it's not my main planner, but it is my goal planner, which I love. So I do plan on continuing this. I definitely do have plans to use the Undated as well. But anyway, those are the comparisons between the 2 planners. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.